Welcome in, everyone. And no, my name is Shaka. And just first of all, just starting with a little caveat, I'm recovering from a little illness. So you might find me a little bit chesty throughout today's practice. But just bear with me. This also means it's going to be a relatively slow practice, but we're going to move through all of the different parts of the body today and just give a nice flow through the whole body and try and get the channels open. And so you'll see also with me, I have two bricks that I will bring into play today in today's practice. But if you don't have bricks, then you can use a pillow or even some books or something else. So if you have got bricks, then do take them, but I can show you alternatives. But if you have anything that just allows you to just elevate your hands or your hips, it will be very useful for today's class. And that's it. So without further ado, let's begin. So we're going to come into a nice seated position. So I'm in an easy cross-legged or Sukhasana position. You're welcome to take any seated position that feels comfortable for you. You can even sit on your chair if that's feels better for you. And we'll just first take a moment just to land and arrive here into our bodies and here into the moment. So just allow the outside world just to kind of slow down, everything to slow down. So you just come into your body and into the present moment. And so sometimes that just looks like letting the back of the sitting bones sink downwards. So you see there's a natural curl and curvature in the lower back. Allow the shoulders to just drop down, kind of a slouch position really to begin with. But we do this just to feel this heaviness on the lower half of the body. This is very grounding. This allows us to get in touch with the body. And when we're in touch with the body, then we're in touch with the present moment, the here and now. And so as you reside here, before we bring the attention inwards, let's bring our attention outside. So just bringing your awareness to any sounds you can hear. Maybe the sounds of traffic, the birds, the wind, maybe rain, wherever you are, just tuning in, maybe even the sounds in your space. And just listening out, near and far, everything that you can hear. So once you feel grounded enough, maybe you want to start to bring the attention inwards. You do this by focusing on the breath. So breathing in and out through the nose and just following the breath first of all. You want to change the breath and just observe first of all. Is it shallow? Is it deep? And also allowing yourself to start to become more aware of any internal sensations. Anything that's happening inside the body. Now we're going to consciously start to lengthen and deepen the breath. So to imagine the inhale coming from the base of your spine and drawing it all the way up, your central channel, all the way up to the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, you're sending the breath down from the crown of the head back down to the base. So really feeling the breath now lightening up the body, or lighting up the body, should I say. And you can imagine the breath like a pendulum, or even like waves on the sea, finding your rhythm. And as you imagine that breath traveling up the center, you may naturally notice that the spine wants to lengthen and the crown wants to grow tall. But as you exhale, you're keeping the shoulders soft, keeping the mind soft, the facial muscles. Holding both active and passive. Continue to follow your breath and continue to find that steady rhythm until you're just fully in tune with every present sensation in the body. Not getting caught up in the narrative or in the mind. Bring the hands together in prayer position. Take a moment here. You're welcome to set an intention maybe, or recite a mantra, or offer up a prayer. Maybe just simply connect to this mudra, the silence, your heart, this moment. Staying with that long breath. Let's inhale, allow the chest to lift and expand. Exhale, we'll bow the head and drop the chin down into the chest. And then we'll relax the hands down. And then whenever you're ready, you can open the eyes, raise your head, bring your attention back into the space. We're going to stay in this seated position. I'd like you to come into Sukhasana. So come into easy cross-legged if you're not already into easy cross-legged. And if you're seated on something, so if you've had something underneath the hips, and just taking that away from the hips, we're just going to do just some gentle mobilization here before we begin. We're going to just turn the palms out as we interlace the fingers and then reach the arms up above the head. Elbows are straight. And we want to allow the side of the body to lengthen. So lift your body out of the waist. Let's hold here. Nice deep breaths. We're not holding the breath. Feel the lengthening in the side of the body and the side ribs, good. And then we're going to release the hands and we'll let the palms face each other, and then we're coming into Hastasana now. So we want to externally rotate the top of the arms slightly, so we broaden the upper back, and then we're going to lengthen again with the little fingers, and again feel the opening in the chest and the armpits and the side ribs, good. And stay with the breath. Wonderful. And then from here, we're going to inhale again, turn the palms forward, and then exhale. We're going to bring the hands forward. If you want to, you can use your hands on some bricks. And you don't have to take them too far away to begin with. And then we'll take another inhale. You can lift the chest, open the chest, and then exhale from there. Maybe walk the hands a little further away and allow yourself to fold forward. Nice deep breaths here. No forcing, just allowing with the breath. One more breath. And then with our next inhalation, keep the hands where they are. Inhale, look forward. And exhale there. And then inhale, we're going to come back up. And then this time we're going to take the hands behind us. The fingers are going to point forwards and the palms are pressed down onto the floor. So we're slightly leaning back into the weight into the hands. And then you're going to lift your chest, almost like there's a piece of string coming from your heart, reaching, pulling you up towards the sky. And then you can drop your head back and open the throat if that feels okay on the neck. And then breathe. Nice deep breaths. Breathing into the top of the chest particularly. You can draw the shoulder blades together. Good. Last 2 breaths. Good. And with your next exhalation, you can allow yourself to come back up. Good. And then we're going to take the hands out to the side. We're just going to bring the fingertips out to the side. And then you're going to allow yourself, so you're going to push your hands into the floor and then allow yourself to grow tall and long. Now, draw the shoulder blades away. So again, this is coming from this action in the side of the body. Good. Let's hold here, inhale. And then exhale, you're going to place your left palm flat on the floor and then raise your right arm and then just come into a side stretch. Now be mindful, we want to keep this right hip grounded. So you can use this left hand to push away from the floor, to really root down into that right hip and then lengthen from there. Good. And then just breathe. Nice deep breaths, steady breaths. Let the breath guide you. Beautiful. And then let's inhale, we're going to come back up. And then exhale, let's come straight into the other side. We're going to take the hand down. And again, you can push away from the floor, ground the left hip. As you reach that left arm up over the head. Once you find your position here, you're just breathing. Just want to feel this counter movement in the practice. There's a grounding and a lengthening. Feeling that with the breath. Beautiful. And then let's inhale, come up. And then we're going to turn the palms forward, up to the sky, sorry. Reach them up as we inhale. And then exhale, we're going to twist to the left. Now drawing in your lower back, lengthening the spine, and then twisting on your axis. So you never really want to do a twist in your hunch, yeah? So just making sure you're not in a hunch position. You really want to draw the lower back in, lengthen out of the waist, and then twist from there. And if you can, you look over that back shoulder. Nice deep breaths. Beautiful. Let's inhale, come back into the center. We'll reach the arms up. And then exhale, we'll come through the other side. And then again, drawing in the lower back, lengthening the spine, and then allow the twist to come from that place. Let's have both hips on the floor, or both sitting bones on the floor, should I say. Nice deep breaths. Steady breath. Beautiful. And then we're going to come back into the center. Inhale, reaching the arms up. And then exhale. You can take the hands down and then you can just release the legs. And just take them out in front of you and shake them out if you need to. We're just going to do a little flexion now. So you can have the feet hip width apart if you want to, or the legs together. It's up to you. And then we just want a nice, strong flex in the legs. If you need to, you can move the flesh away from the sitting bones. And if you can, you're going to take the tops of the feet. Now, if that's difficult, to reach, then you can bend the knees, and that's absolutely fine, yeah? So either way, but we're taking the tops of the feet. Now we're not coming into a full forward fold, we're going to inhale, lengthen. So remember, this drawing in of the lower back, lifting the chest. And then let's just hold here, breathing, lifting the chest, pushing the backs of the legs into the floor if they are straight, or just simply just lengthening the lower back. Let's take a few breaths here. And then we're going to take another inhale, prepare, and then exhale. You're pointing your toes. Now you're not folding forward, you're just lengthening the spine, but keeping the lower back nice and long. Yeah, so there's a lift here. So you feel I have to remind myself. Good. And then just breathe. Good. And if you want to, you can flex the feet a little bit deeper. And then do the same again, point the toes. So you're pulling your body. So again, you're feeling this in the side of the body, yes, in the back of the legs. And you also do this with the legs, the knees bent as well, where you can pull the feet away and it's lengthening the body, yeah? So it still works even with the knees bent, yeah? So wherever you are, just holding here for 3, 4, and 5. Good. Inhale, exhale, and then inhale, you can release. And then we're going to swing the legs around. Excuse me. And then come into a extended child's pose. So we have the knees about mat width apart. We have the big toes touching. The arms and the elbows are straight. And we're pushing away from the floor with the hands. So you see here, I've started with my hands quite close to my knees. Now you can come straight down if you want to. But I always find this is nice. We want to keep this grounding here. I want to find this connection with my buttocks and my heels. And then I walk the hands away. And then I'm pushing back again with my hands. Again, lengthening through the side of the body and the armpits, walking away, pushing away. So I keep finding that length. Again, finding that balance between the grounding and the lengthening. And then finding yourself wherever you are, holding here. For 3 more breaths, nice deep breaths, breathing into the spine, into the hips. And then from here, we're going to walk the hands over to the left-hand side. Taking both your hands over to the left. And then again, consciously, as much as you can, grounding your right hip. Allow your right hip to ground down into that right heel. And again, nice deep breaths. And then we're going to walk back into the center and then over to the other side. So taking both the hands over to the right-hand side now. Again, you can slightly push away from the floor with the hands to ground that left hip. Opening out the left-hand side of the body. Nice deep breaths. You can even consciously breathe into that left lung, right down into the bottom. Left lung. Beautiful. Coming back into the center. Maybe just see if you can find a bit more reach and a bit more length through the upper body here in your upward, in your extended child's pose. So remember the arms are straight and the elbows are active. Or the elbows away from the floor, the arms are active. Good. And then from here, we're going to roll up and come up into all fours position. So we're going to stack the shoulders over the wrists, and then we'll have the knees hip width apart and stacked underneath the hips. So in a nice tabletop position. Good, and we're going to start in our extension position. So sending the chest through the arms, lifting the tailbone, dropping the stomach, and then if you can, you open the throat and draw the shoulder blades down the back. Let's just hold here in a static position first of all. Just breathing up the length and breadth of the spine. Just feeling where you can soften into your extension a bit more. Good. And then we're going to hold the extension position and then just rock the hips from side to side. So you stay in your extension, but just rock the hips. Again, nice steady breath. It doesn't have to be a strong, forceful movement. And just gently, again, still just gently mobilizing. Good. Good. Last breath. And then come back to the center. And then we're going to take the opposite action. So we're going to tuck under this time. And draw the chin into the chest, push away from the floor. Arch the spine, tuck the tailbone under, and again, let's first hold the static position here. Nice deep breaths up and down the spine. Last breath. And then from here, we're going to rock the hips from side to side. So again, we hold our tucked under position and rock the hips from side to side. Last few breaths. Beautiful. And then let's come back to the center. And then we'll take our classic cat and cow with the breath. Inhale to extend. Exhale to arch. Inhaling to extend. Exhale to arch. And then you go in your own time, your own breath. Just finding the fluidity in the spine and in the hips, in the neck, shoulders. Just finding all those connections, the arms down to the wrists. And then even down to the legs and then the feet. See how it's all connected. Good. Last 3 breaths. Good. And then just finishing with the next exhale. We're going to stay on our knees. And then we're going to take our blocks. So if you have your blocks, you can bring them into play now. If you don't have any blocks, you can just have your hands on the floor and that's fine. So you'll have the hands about shoulder width apart. We're going to take a puppy dog pose. We're going to take it with a cat and cow action. So with puppy dog pose, we want the hips and the knees to stay stacked over each other or stacked in line with each other. And then we're just simply bringing the chest down to the floor. Yeah, so that's all that's happening here. Now I'm going to do a cat and cow with the pelvis now and with the breath. So I'm going to inhale, tuck under, exhale, opposite action. Inhale, exhale. So it's not, we're not doing any pumping action here. It's just simply a movement in the pelvis. And then we're allowing the shoulders to open. So like I said, you can do this with your hands on the floor as well. And then just working with the movement of the pelvis. With the blocks, it's a lot harder. But because you're moving the pelvis, you're finding more space. So sometimes it gives you more range of movement. Keep going. And then last 2 breaths. Good. And then finishing with your exhale. And then you can keep your blocks there if you have them. And you can walk the knees slightly forward. And then we're going to tuck the toes under and come up into a downward facing dog. So a nice easy downward facing dog with bricks supported. And you can start first of all with the heels lifted. If this helps, opening out the back of the legs and send your hips up towards the sky and then send your head through your arms. Relax your neck. Then if you can, from here, you ground the heels and holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Then you can look up towards the hands and then you can step, walk or jump the feet towards the hands. Now we're going to take the feet hip width apart. We're just going to do a gentle forward fold now. So you can keep the blocks there if you want to. And first of all, you're just going to slightly bend the knees and let your chest rest onto the top of the thighs. And then you can just let your head hang, just let the neck be soft. And then you can hold the elbows here like so. And then you're going to bring the weight into each foot. And then just rock the hips from side to side. Nice and slow, nice and steady breath. And then you can change the hold of the elbows. Beautiful. And then you can relax the hands. You can bring them back down onto the blocks or to the floor. And then you're going to step back and come straight into your downward facing dog again. Take the hands through the arms. Round the heels if you can. Hips up towards the sky and long line between the side of the hips to that little finger. 3, 4, and 5. Good. Now we're going to look towards the hands and then we're just going to step the left foot forward in between the hands. And again, you can leave your blocks there if you want to. We're going to drop the knees down, drop that right knee down onto the floor, and then bring both hands to the inside of the left foot. So you can take both hands on the blocks or you can take them on the floor. Now we're just going to gently let the right hip sink down and then just take some circles with the hips. So circling around. Yeah, nice and steady. Doesn't have to be strong. And then let's circle the other way. Well done. Good. And then we're going to come back into the center. Again, just let that hip sink down. And then we're just going to hold here as we draw the shoulder blades back and lift the chest and maybe take the chest slightly through the arms. And then lift the head and look forward. Good. 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then if you want to, you again can use the blocks and take your left block to the left side of the foot. And then you can step back. This time we're going to come into a higher plank position. And then from here, you can bring the hips forward and come into your upward facing dog. So the legs are straight, hips away from the floor, chest are through the arms. Let's take another inhale. Maybe look up towards the sky. Exhale, rolling over the feet. And then coming into your downward facing dog. Exhale. And then breathe. Adjust as you need to. Find the stillness and the steadiness here. And breathe. 3 more breaths. And then we'll prepare now to take the other side. So we're going to step the right foot forward this time. And relax the left knee down onto the floor and release that foot. We'll take both hands to the inside of the left foot. And then again, you want to sink that left hip down. And then we'll take those circles from here. Circulating around, again, just working with the breath, so it's nice and steady, just mobilizing, using the breath. And then let's take those circles the other way around. Come back into the center. We're going to let the hips sink down, and then we're going to push away from the floor as we lift our chest. And keep that knee nice and bent. So we're almost coming into a back bend. So again, we want to just draw in this lower part back. This allows us to open the chest, maybe send it through the arms, and then look forward and hold here wherever you are. 3, 4, and 5. Good. And you're going to take that block and then take it to the outside of your right foot again, and then step that right foot back. You can either lift up the back leg, or you can even slide it through on all fours and then come into your high plank from there. And then bring the hips forward, chest through the arms, come onto the tops of the feet, push away from the floor. So with your upward facing dog, don't hang out in the shoulders, push away from the floor with the hands, and then exhale, rolling over the feet, and then coming into your downward facing dog. Send the head through the arms, relax the neck. And we'll hold here for 3 more breaths. 1, 2. My mat's not so sticky, so be careful if your mat is also not so sticky. Good. And 3. Now we're going to step that left leg forward again. And drop the right knee down onto the floor. So we're here again into a low lunge. We're going to take our hands away from the floor and come up. Now we're going to come into a twist position where we're taking the right hand to the outside of the left leg. And if you can, you're grabbing the opposite thigh. Now, as you're doing that, you're also sinking the hips down and you're lengthening the spine. And then being here wherever you are. 1, 2, and 3. Now, you're going to have the option to take this right hand now down onto the right of your left foot. And then you're keeping this left hand here. So when you see this hip can sink down a bit further, then if it's available, you bend up that knee and you maybe grab the foot with the hand. If you can't grab the foot or don't want to grab the foot, then you can just reach back with that hand and sink that hip down. Yeah, that's another option. Or you're grabbing the foot. If you're grabbing the foot, you're kicking the foot into the hand as you lift the chest. Also be mindful with the left foot. You want to keep pushing into the big toe of that left foot. Good. Holding here for 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then you can release the foot. We're going to inhale, come up, and reach the arms up. And then we're going to take the other side. So this time you're going to take your hand down onto the floor. And if you want to, just reach that arm back, or you send the palm back and then work on grabbing the foot. Good. Sinking the hip down, opening the chest, and then looking over that shoulder. For 3. And 4. And 5. Good. You can release that foot. And then take both hands onto your blocks. Step your left foot back. You're into your high plank. And then coming into your upward facing dog as you inhale. And then exhale. Downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths here. Just to reset, reconnect. 2, and 3. Good. Let's take the other side. So we're going to step the right leg forward now. And drop the left knee down onto the floor. We'll take the hands away from the body. And then again, we're going to come into that twist. So we're going to take the left hand to the outside of the leg. Then if you can, you hold your thigh. If that's too hard, you can also take your hand onto the lower back. That's absolutely fine as well. Yeah. Whichever option. Allowing yourself to twist. 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then you can stay here, reaching that arm back. Or you're bending that knee and taking the foot with the opposite leg and then sinking down. Again, finding the twist position, lengthening the spine. 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then releasing that leg, we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, exhale, and then taking the opposite direction now. So taking your right hand down to your brick or to the floor on the inside of that right leg. And then again, you can reach back with that hand, or if it feels available, you can bend that knee, reach for the leg, and then just taking the open version. So as you're kicking that foot into your hand, you're dropping the hips, opening the chest, staying wherever you are here for 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then releasing that foot, and then framing the feet with the hands, stepping that foot back into your high plank, into your upward facing. Inhale, exhale, downward facing. Let's take 5 breaths here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Now we're going to come into a seated position. So you can drop the knees down onto the floor, or you can bring the legs to a cross-legged position and lowering yourself down, bringing your hips down onto the floor. Now we're still going to use the blocks. We're going to lie down onto our back and we're going to take a supported Setu Bandhasana now. But before we do that, I want us to work a little bit with the pelvis and the spine and a little bit with the shoulders as well. So we're going to bend at the knees, the feet are hip width apart. Now, first thing, just allow the spine to sink into the floor. So let the shoulders be heavy into the floor. And then I want you to just feel that place where almost all parts of your spine are touching the floor. And then just breathe here. And then I want you to just rock the pelvis. So we're not lifting the hips, but we're just rocking the pelvis backwards and forwards. Yeah, if you can see that, it's quite subtle. So you see when I rock the pelvis back, my lower back plants into the floor, there's no space here. When I move my pelvis forward, there's a bit more space underneath my back, there's a slight extension here, yeah? So I'm not lifting the hips, I'm just again, rocking the pelvis backwards and forwards and just feeling that connection of the spine and the placement of the hips. Good. Now you're going to come back into a neutral position. Again, just let everything sink down into the floor. Then we're going to take the hands to the elbows. And then you're going to reach the elbows away. So you can let the shoulders lift slightly as you reach the arms away. And then you're going to take the hands over the head. Now you're going to plant the arms into the floor, particularly the forearms,
And then you're going to keep them there as you lift your head away from the floor and send your head through your arms. So you're pushing your hands into the floor as you lift the head. Good. Holding here for 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then lower down. And then you can bring your hands back in front of you and then just change the hold of the elbows. And then we'll do that one more time. So we pull the arms away, take them over the head, and then lift the head as we push the arms into the floor. So don't let the arms come away from the floor. Let them be planted and rooted. Again, that's your grounding, that's your foundation. You may also find that you want to naturally tuck in. So you want to push your lower back into the floor. Sometimes that helps you get a bit more space. And again, wherever you are, holding here for 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then lower down, and you can relax the hands. Wonderful. Good. Now, for those of you who don't have a block and who don't want to use a block, you can take Setu Bandhasana and just lift the hips and interlace the fingers behind the back. Yeah, this is an option. For those of you who feel like you want more support today, then you can take a brick. Sometimes I like to use 2 bricks and I use them on the medium setting, as I call it. And then you want them right beside your hips. And then you're going to lift your hips up, slide them underneath, and then rest your hips onto your bricks like so. Yeah. And let's all just stay here. Now, if you're taking Setu Bandhasana without the support, then you can just come up, hold for 5 breaths, and then come back down, reset, and then come into it. And then do that 5 more times. For those of us who are in the support, we're just going to hold here for 15 breaths. So we're all doing the same amount. Now, for those of you using the support, if you want to make this a bit more challenging, you can bring your feet and your knees together. So if you want to make this a little bit more challenging, you can do that, pushing into the big toes and lengthening your tailbone. If this is still want a bit more challenge but still stay supported, then you can also straighten the legs. So this is another option. Again, you can have the feet hip width apart, or you can bring the feet together if you want it even more challenging than that. Yeah. So wherever you are, let's just hold here. So if you're in the supported position, another 7 breaths here. If you're taking your last Setu Bandhasana, maybe just want to come up for your last 5 breaths. And then let's all be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. You're like me. You straighten the legs and bend the legs again. If you're in your Setu Bandhasana without support, then just bending up the knees and relaxing your back. Now we're going to come into Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. So we're going to lift the feet up now and then come into Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. If you haven't got the bricks, it's fine. You can do this while you're lying flat onto the floor and you just raise your legs. For those of you who want to and no shoulder stand and want to take Sarvangasana, you can take Sarvangasana or shoulder stand. And let's be here now for 10 deep, long, slow breaths. So wherever you are, let the body now start to slow down the breath. Let the fresh blood come into the upper body, into the organs, taking all of that pressure away from the heart and the lungs. Allowing yourself to fall into that deep, slow, steady breath. And close your eyes if you want to, or let your gaze be to the big toes, or if you're in shoulder stand, to the abdomen. Last 5 breaths. far. So if you're in your shoulder stand, you can come down. And if you are like me and you're on your support, you're just going to bring your feet down to the floor. And then you're going to lift your hips and slide your blocks away. And then let's all meet here, lying down again with the knees bent. And then we're going to come into Baddha Konasana now, or Supta Baddha Konasana. So we're going to stay lying down onto our back. If you want to, you can take it without support. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together and bend the knees out to the side. I'm going to use my bricks to support my knees. Actually, they're not supporting my knees, actually supporting my hips. So the closer you have your support to your hips, the more support you have. If you take them out to the knees, you need to be relatively flexible here in the hips, so that might be too strong. So take them higher and higher and higher for more and more support. If you prefer, you can take no support at all. Then we're going to take the hands above the head and hold here. Just breathing. Nice deep breaths. Again, let's take 8 deep breaths here. And then from here, we're going to keep the hands where they are and just simply straighten out the legs. You can let the feet be hip width apart, and you can just let the feet fall out to the side. Then we're going to take the hands forward. So I'm hoping you can see, I'm just going to move the bricks out of the way just so you can see what I'm about to do. So I'm going to take my palms to the floor. Actually, you're going to need to bend your knees again. I apologize. So you're going to take your hips on top of the tops of your hands and rest them there. And then straighten out your legs. And then come up onto your forearms as you lift your chest and then bring the crown of your head to the floor. So we're coming into a Matsyasana now, a supported Matsyasana here. So keep lifting your chest. Breathing into the heart. Opening the throat. Let's take 5 more breaths here. Remember, the hips stay on the tops of the hands. It's just the chest that lifts, and the crown of the head is on the floor. Last 2 breaths. And 2, good. And then bring the chin into the chest, and then lengthen your body down. You can release your hands from underneath your body, and then we'll bend up the knees again, and then we'll just do a preparation twist. Bring the knees into the body. You can rock from side to side. You can massage the lower back into the floor. And then we're going to bring the knees into the body. And then you can take the hands out to the side. If you're like me, you haven't got much space, you can bend the elbows. And then just take the knees over to the right-hand side. And then if you want to, you can use your right hand and take it to your left knee. Now just be mindful with these twists. You don't want to let this right shoulder, this left shoulder lift. You want this left shoulder grounded. Again, think about the length coming from the armpit to the hip. And then you're taking the knee over. The length is actually coming from here, the side of the body, yeah? So don't make the knee coming down the focus, because this shoulder lifts, yeah? And then you lose all the grounding. So keep the grounding, and then find the length. Draw the left hip away, and then you find that there's space to deepen the twist. Holding here for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Well done. And then bring the knees back into the center. Again, you can hug them in, rock from side to side. And then you're going to take the legs over to the other side. So I'm just going to move in a little bit here, just so I have a little bit of space. Good. And then you take the arms out to the side and then take the knees over. Now, the first thing again I want to do is ground this right shoulder. Yeah, don't want to let this shoulder come with me just so I can get my knees across. Otherwise, I'm losing the whole element of the action of this pose. So we're grounding here. So you can actually even take your hand here actually just to make sure that's nice and grounded. And then you can follow your body. You can actually even use your hand, draw it down your body and think about drawing this hip away. So you're drawing this hip down and away. So you want to feel this length here. And then you find there's enough space to take that knee across. Then you're in the twist. And then here we have the action of the twist, yeah? This grounding here on this right side and this lengthening over onto this left side. Good. So you're drawing this hip down and away, yeah? Down and away. And we're here for 5 more breaths. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Then bring the knees back into the center. Hug them into the body again. Give yourself another little lower back massage. And then you can just roll over onto one side. So just drop the knees over to one side and then just coming up into a seated position. So last final position before we come into our final relaxation. I'm going to do a supported Paschimottanasana or a supported forward fold, seated forward fold. So again, giving yourself the options. If you want, you can have the knees bent. That's absolutely fine. If you want to, have the legs apart. So if the back of the legs are very tight, this is a good option. For those who are a bit more flexible, you can have the legs straight. If you want to, you can have the legs together. Ideally, I would like your head supported. So give yourself enough space for you to place a block or even a cushion in underneath, and then rest your head. So you can take as many supports as you need. So I've got 2 bricks here for today. This feels like it's relatively good for me. And then we're just going to hang. So you see I've got this curvature in my back, and that's fine. My head's supported. My arms are relaxed. If you want to, you can hold the feet. If you want to, you can make it active, or you just support the head and let the mind quieten and soften. You can support your chin, or you can support your forehead. However you prefer. We're going to hold here for another 7 breaths. So find the softness here, find the surrender, find the place where you're not holding on. Where you can let the breath move through you freely. And maybe just noticing where the breath isn't moving so freely in the body. You just give your signal where the tension is, where the tightness is in your body. Again, we don't want a story, no judgment, but we're just noticing. We're noticing where the body maybe needs more care, more energy, more time, more space. No forcing, just breathing. Breathing into those parts, giving them extra. And just letting them naturally let go and soften. The softening and the surrendering, it happens in layers. It just happen with one breath. Sometimes it's many breaths, many lifetimes even. The last 3 breaths here. Good. And then inhaling as you come up. And then you can prepare yourself now for final relaxation. So let's prepare ourselves for our relaxation. So we're going to bend our knees and we're going to lie down onto our back. And the first thing we're going to want to do is just lift the tailbone slightly and just lengthen the tailbone. So we're going to tuck the tailbone under, draw in the lower ribs, and then place the lower back down onto the floor so that it's nice and long onto the floor. And then we're going to take the right foot to the right corner of the mat. We take the left foot to the left corner of the mat. And then we're going to extend through the legs. So we're going to flex the feet, draw the toes towards us, and extend through the back of the legs, almost like I'm shooting laser beams through my heels. And then just let the feet go, let them fall out to the side. Hands slightly away from the body, palms facing up. And then tuck the shoulders under. Let the neck be long. And then completely let go. So let the body be completely heavy. Soften the back of the eyes. And let the jawline go. Let the hips go, let the thighs go. Let the feet fall out to the side. Let your whole body soften and surrender. Here in your Shavasana. Take as long as you need here. Let yourself fully surrender to the earth, to all of the support that is underneath you. Be well, and I will see you again next time. Namaste.